Welcome, everyone, to the Chicago Football Connection podcast. I'm your host, Steve Letizia. Follow me on Twitter at CFC Bears. I'm joined by my co-host, Luke O'Grady. Follow him on Twitter at Luke O'Grady. Luke, we're coming off a bad loss. We're 2-4 now, but we got the Patriots coming next. We got a mini bye week going from Thursday Night Football to Monday Night Football. So I'm curious, we're just going to jump right into it. What your thoughts are going into this game, what you think, what your expectations are, things to kind of look out for, and we kind of just get the conversation rolling that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a million things we could probably start off with. I think one of the ones that we probably should address is the fact that we do have a bit of a mini bye week, and I think with a mini bye week almost, and I'd almost say that what Eberflus said in his press conference yesterday kind of echoes it. That I think that we will see more change up as far as like where people are playing and who's starting in which positions going forward with this week, just because. They had a little bit of time to step back and, take some days off practice, really look over look at not just last week and where you're going to, but look at the first 6 weeks now and say, hey, what do we think here? And the way that Eberflus was kind of holding things close to his chest, it seemed to me that there will be some changes at some positions going forward this week. So it'll be interesting to look forward to that. Probably Friday or Saturday they'll release their depth chart.
I don't know.
At least
I'm not sure if you can even trust the depth chart that they'll release. I really don't think we'll know until Monday. But like you said, I do expect there to be some changes, especially what everyone's wondering is there going to be changes on the offensive line? That's what everyone's going to be thinking about. Are we finally going to get Lucas Patrick at center? Who's going to be playing left guard if he moves to center? Is it going to be Michael Schofield? Is it going to be? Are they going to move Mustipher to left guard? I don't know. Is it going to be Jatari Carter? Are they going to go young? We just don't know at this point. My guess would be there's going to be some sort of change on the offensive line. Maybe it's Riley Reef moving to left guard, or maybe even Riley Reef playing left tackle or right tackle. And so we'll see, but it'll be interesting to see how they come out.
Yeah, I think you kind of get two birds. You kind of kill two birds with one stone when you move Patrick inside, because he's been such a liability at left guard. In the wake of Cody Whitehair getting hurt, and Mustipher has been so bad at center. I mean, to be fair, they've all kind of held their own in rush in the run game. Yeah, but in pass protection, man, they've been so bad. And Lucas looked a lot more comfortable there in Green Bay, and it's where he was slotted to start with us. When we picked him up, so moving him there, kind of removes him from the left guard, removes center. I mean, Mustipher from the center, and I think it does influx some new talent at maybe the left tackle or the left guard position, because I think there was some talk about maybe Borum kicking inside sometimes, and like you said, there's also Schofield, Carter could possibly move there, and either way, I think we'll probably see at least one new face. I've even heard that maybe Leatherwood would make sense at that guard position. But seeing if we could just see some continuity from the center to the right side, just leave Tevin there, don't touch him. Leave Braxton there, don't touch him, and then leave put Patrick in the middle and leave him there for the rest of the season. That would be a really big win coming out of the mini bye.
Yeah, and with Patrick, he has absolutely been a liability at guard. He was a little bit better at right guard. Since he's moved to left guard, it's been a disaster. And that's really tough to move from the right side to the left side, so I don't necessarily blame him for that. But he was also bad at right guard. I think we should temper our expectations, though, with Patrick. I do think he's better at center, but I think he's at best average there. So it's not like he's going to go move to center and then suddenly be the high-priced free agent that we wanted him to be and everything like that. I do think it helps them overall, but we just have to temper our expectations. It's not going to fix everything. We're still going to struggle. But yeah, it's that they have to do something, right? Like they can't just trot out the same five guys in the same five spots and expect things to be different just from people developing.
It's just been so bad that it's like something's got to give. Someone else needs a shot at that point. It makes you think of what would have happened if Patrick never got hurt. We were able to roll out, Whitehair, Patrick, Jenkins, and then Borum and Jones on the outside the whole season. But it is what it is. It's something. The necessity of it's been nice for someone like a Tevin Jenkins. I think through 6 games, you'd be hard pressed to say that anyone on the offense has played as good as him. He has he's the turnaround from where we were 4 weeks before the season started. Like one of the worst second round draft picks ever, drafted up to get him. Might be off the team for a 5th-round pick in 1 year to where he is now. He looks so comfortable there. He looks instinctual there. And like he went from being a good athlete at the tackle position to being one of the best athletes on the field at a guard position.
Yeah, it was unquestionably his best game this past week.
Yeah.
And that was really nice to see. And like I said, he's getting more comfortable each and every week. He's not perfect, but he's definitely been the Bears' best offensive lineman. And like you said, maybe even the Bears' best offensive player. You can certainly make that argument, and I'm not going to argue against you. Yeah, that's true. Not a high bar to clear there, but it's still something promising to kind of build on and for the Bears. And we have to kind of reach for positives, and I think that's not even a reach. That he's just been a positive at right guard.
I think
it's really good to see.
I think PFF has him, somewhere in the top 15 for guard play this season.
Pretty high up.
That's a revelation.
Yeah, I think the interesting one for me, because I think besides Patrick and Muster have been pretty bad on the inside, but Braxton Jones has also been pretty bad at left tackle. But that's a little bit harder to make a change because he is a rookie, and we knew he was going to struggle going into it. He's a rookie coming from an FCS school, making that's a big jump. But you also, he hasn't been good in pass protection. He's been better as a run blocker, as you mentioned. But it's also kind of a situation where you want Fields to develop, but you also want Braxton Jones to develop. And benching him does not help his development, but he needs to be better and it wouldn't shock me if they put Reef maybe at left tackle to kind of for a few games and then maybe bring Braxton Jones back later in the season. So that's a possibility that we shouldn't take off the table. Borum's been fine and been okay at right tackle. You can keep him there. He hasn't been perfect, but he's definitely far from their biggest issue. So those 3 spots, left guard, center, left tackle, those are other spots to kind of look out for.
Eberflus was talking about that. Someone asked him about that in the press conference about the dynamic of starting the player that you think gives you the best chance to win in a week in, week out situation versus starting the player that you think deserves to have these snaps to become the player you need to be when the window is a little bit more open. And Eberflus did his classic. We're trying to win every game. We're not looking too far forward, kind of thing. But by the same merit, it's in the back of his mind. And it'd be interesting if that's the reason why someone like a Braxton Jones, because he has kind of struggled, has been like keeping Riley Reef on the bench. I do know that Riley Reef's contract is set up in a way where it's like almost entirely performance based, and every game he gets is like more we have to pay him out, and that might be one of the reasons why he might just be like a locker room brain almost.
Yeah, I think they're really saving him as a last resort, but I don't understand why you would sign a guy to an incentive contract like that if you have no intention of playing him. It doesn't make sense to me. But I get like you want to play Braxton Jones because you don't want to spend that extra money. But if it means getting your quarterback killed, eat the money and put him in. Not that Riley Reef is going to be like so much better, but
it is interesting though. I think everybody assumed that Riley Reef signing was kind of to shore up that part of the line, and as training camp went on, it was like it's Braxton Jones, which was kind of like okay, it's nice to think that maybe we have like the talent in there, and the early returns from everyone else was saying that talent-wise he didn't really deserve to go in the 5th round. That was more of like a where he played and the competition he played against. But the way that Braxton Jones talks about his opportunities and being able to learn from his mistakes, though, is what I would say is the most encouraging. He gets interviewed sometimes. He seems really mature about it and understanding that having these reps against the people better than him is how he's going to learn to be better going forward.
Exactly. That's the thing. I think when Braxton Jones was drafted, myself and a lot of people, everyone pretty much said this is a guy with tremendous potential.
Yeah, upside.
Starting potential and upside. And the only way you're going to get better is to play. He's not going to get better by sitting on the bench. I don't think anyone really expected him to play week 1. But I did expect him to play at some point this year. But like I said, you got to play him if you want him to get better. But they're just in this weird dynamic where you want him to get better, but you also want him to protect Justin Fields, which right now he's not doing. He's shown flashes, but on a consistent basis is not doing that.
It's like you want to develop Braxton Jones, but you need to develop Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's want versus need. So we'll see. It wouldn't shock me if it actually would probably be more shocking if they do replace him, but it wouldn't. So it wouldn't be. I wouldn't argue with it if they did. I guess I should put it that way.
The Patriots.
Well, I was going to say before we get into the Patriots, we have one other guy coming. We have one guy coming. ISM is out. He was cut. We called up Isaiah Coulter from the practice squad, and we're also getting N'Keal Harry back.
Revenge game.
Revenge game. So I think we got to talk about that a little bit. I don't really have huge expectations for N'Keal Harry or Isaiah Coulter. I would doubt if Isaiah Coulter is even active on game day.
Yeah.
But Harry should be active on game day, and it'll be interesting to see how they get him involved in the offense, if at all. He is still coming off an injury and hasn't really practiced much. So is he going to be on a snap count? Is he going to get a couple touches, but really not much? I don't know. Or is he going to start?
Yeah. So in free agency, there was a real obvious model of the receivers they went after this year, because they weren't really going to break the bank for the people in free agency this year, obviously. So they went after ESB, Pringle, and Harry are all really, really good blocking wide receivers. And that's something that I think will help get N'Keal Harry on the field earlier than maybe it would have otherwise, because as of right now, someone that's probably more explosive and someone you'd want to get on the field more, someone like Velas, or maybe is it pronounced Velas or Velas?
I've always said Velas. I'm pretty sure it's Velas.
Yeah. I saw someone making fun of that on the Twitterverse, but I wasn't sure. Either way, Velas Jones. It'll be interesting to see the split between N'Keal Harry and Velas Jones this week, because a third round pick, basically the first offensive player that you pick in the draft when it was a draft that you needed to kind of throw some support around Justin Fields. He played 7 offensive snaps last game.
Yeah, 2 touches, 1 rush, 1 reception, I believe. Yeah, you got to get him more involved too. You have to.
When Eberflus was asked about it, he said that, he gave the answer that you'd hear about a classic gadget player, great in space, really fast. We got to maneuver, manufacture touches for him. And it was like, if you draft him in the 3rd round, he better be able to go out and run a hitch or run a post, run a slant, run an out. So I'd like to see him actually go and play receiver for us. And then I think it's the other thing with Velas is I'd like to see him get left at the punt return position. I know it's been bad the last couple of weeks, but it's like, who else are you going to put out there?
He's got to get the ball in his hands.
And it's like, let the guy, let him be a rookie for a season and get some more reps underneath him. He'd be valuable as a punt returner if he could start to catch the ball. Just give him the chance to. I don't think he did it a whole lot in college either.
He didn't. No, he didn't do it at USC, and he did it a few times at Tennessee, but for the most part, he really didn't. So he's still kind of learning that too. But yeah, when it comes to getting involved in the offense, I think you have to. I mean, he's your 3rd round pick, your first offensive pick this year. Even if he's not, even if he is a manufactured touch guy, start manufacturing some touches for him and just get him on the field, because he has that 4.3 speed. I don't know. Maybe he can't catch, maybe he can't run a route, but that 4.3 speed is legit. And it's something 100%. That defenses have to respect, either on the outside or just stretching the field vertically, stretching the field horizontally. Get him involved in pre-snap motion. The Bears don't use as much pre-snap motion as we thought they would. But just getting those linebackers moving from left to right with a pre-snap motion, it opens up running lanes, it opens up passing lanes. It's just a no-brainer to get him on the field. Yeah. Whether maybe he only gets 3 or 4 or 5 touches, but he doesn't have to have that many touches to get involved and to make an impact.
And the fact of the matter is he's going on for 5 plays, and then those plays, at least 2 of them are drawn up just for him. Just give me 15 snaps as opposed to 7. At least let me see, because like we said, it's a little bit of a mini bye week, and he was hurt to start. Now he's maybe getting a little bit back into it. I'd like to see him ramped up this week, as well as N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and there's really no excuse not to. Who else do you have that you need to get snaps to? I mean, Mooney's obviously got to be out there. Dante Pettis can get open if he catches the ball, but he can't catch the ball, but he can get open. So I like to have him out there. ESB. So yeah, I mean, you really need to have a 5-man rotation there. ISM, good, he's out. He doesn't need to be on the field anymore. So that's the Bears offense.
For the most part, the only other thing we haven't really talked about is Justin. I would say that I guess
we should probably talk about Justin Fields, the most important player.
You were right, to be honest. When I went back and rewatched it, he actually played a much better game than I realized. It was one of those times when the flow of the game impacted the way I was seeing it. But that
happens to me all the time.
Yeah, you know what? It really wasn't a horrible game. We were saying before the game, you want to see, a couple of really great games a year. You're going to see some average games and maybe some bad games from these young QBs, and you just kind of want to fix on the good stuff. That game, when I rewatched, it went from going to a bad game to one of those middle games. He was a handful of plays away from that stat line looking totally different, from the game looking totally different. There were some great plays, but there weren't nearly as many bad plays as I thought. Maybe 3.
Yeah. Yeah, just a couple. I mean, he's going to have bad plays, and I think that was honestly pretty much a perfect game for the Bears. You move the ball, they could have easily put up 28 points that game.
I know, man.
But they ended up putting what was it, 7? Is that what we scored?
7.
Anyway,
and then
it doesn't matter. But
the defense plays great all game. Muff pump gives them a touchdown enough to win. What's crazy is we're still picking 12th in the draft right now.
I thought the exact same thing because the last couple weeks I've been just basically exclusively looking at draft prospects.
Already looking at drafts
where they're so early. But yeah, I was like 12th. How the hell is that even possible? There's some bad football teams out there.
I know, man.
right now.
I suppose it's also a couple of teams had their bye week too, but still.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but Justin Fields, we need him to play better. I mean, I think he didn't play as bad as some people said on the rewatch. Interestingly, on my rewatch, I thought he actually played a little bit worse than I thought. Fine. So I think we kind of started out on each end of the spectrum and then kind of met in the middle.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
I will say the biggest one for me is that when the game was on the line, he looked great.
Yeah,
like I would say he had the two throws, and the throw to Pettis is a special throw. Yeah, like that much tempo to a spot across the field that long after the snap is really good. You could have called DPI on it, but maybe you also catch it. And then I think the throw to Mooney is exactly where it needs to be. Like some people say you could have thrown him to the corner more or maybe pushed him a little deeper. But if Mooney just secures that first grab, it's no-brainer touchdown.
No-brainer touchdown. Yeah.
It was almost like you put it in a way where Mooney got to jump and catch in a way where the defender really wasn't there. And Mooney just didn't snag it, which probably made the Mooney haters so happy, bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, he's a number 3.
Yeah. I mean, that's 2 straight weeks that he came on the last drive of the game, put them in a position to win. I mean, we had the ISM fumble the week before. That's not now he's out of there. So that's out of his control. But before that, he was kind of leading that drive. And then we had a drop on the goal line on the game winning. That's 2 straight weeks where if the people around him play,
the narrative could be different.
Imagine
if right now the Bears are 4-2 and they just beat the Vikings and they beat the I guess the Commanders on Thursday night. But either way.
On a national game where you need a comeback, narrative would be a little bit different. I don't want to paint the picture that he's been perfect because he's been far from that, but
no,
there are things to get excited about.
It's time that we need to start seeing those wow plays happen a little bit more consistently, or at least put a full game together, not like drives and moments. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that would make a whole lot of sense against the Patriots right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no. The Patriots are a pretty good team. We should probably talk about them. I don't know who we're getting at quarterback. We could probably start there. Mac Jones has been injured. Bailey Zapp has come in and looked been a very. I was looking at his stats. Been a very game manager.
Yeah.
He's not. Throwing the ball deep. He's just not. He's just protecting the football.
Yeah. It is annoying that he threw like 300 yards in that game, though.
I know.
That's so annoying, man. Why can't we do that?
These teams can pull random Guy McGee.
Bailey Zappi.
And he can throw for 300 yards. And Justin Fields is struggling
looks like
to
we're pulling teeth, man.
Yeah. To get to we get to 200 yards. I'm like, all right, good game. Yeah, that's rough. But we don't know who we're getting from the Patriots right now. It could be Mac Jones. Could be Bailey Zappi. I would much rather face Bailey Zappi. I know Zappi's been okay, and Jones struggled a little bit, but I think
Justin Fields would probably like to play Mac Jones. I think a lot of those quarterbacks from that draft class will always be tied at the hip. Even though Mac, did go after Justin, I think that there's a little bit of a fun little rivalry there that always will be between those QBs. So I'd like to see that matchup. Yeah. I think the real matchup is Bill Belichick versus Justin Fields. It's just, everybody knows that stat of, Bill Belichick has lost like 2 games ever to rookie quarterbacks and just seems to always kind of feast on them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of plays it. You'd imagine that they would do some of the stuff to take away his legs, like bubble on the rollouts so that he has to stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
Tell the defensive end not to crash, stuff like that. Play a lot more zones so they can keep their eyes on the quarterback. But that would be an opportunity for Justin to have to play the game that we've all wanted him to play, to sit in the pocket and throw. Maybe a little bit more running to try and offset as much pressure that's going to go on him. But to be honest, we've said it before, if he's going to be the guy, we want him to be able to rise to these occasions.
Yeah. Yeah. You're totally right about Bill Belichick. That really is kind of the matchup to watch. Bill Belichick's going to put the Patriots defense in a very enviable position and in a great position to limit Justin Fields' ability to run. They're probably going to have maybe a spy from time to time. I would love to see the Bears get more play action involved because that would just help everyone. And I saw a stat. They've thrown the ball. Well, Fields has thrown the ball 115 times. They've obviously dropped back more than that, but we have 115 passes or something like that. And only like 22 of them were off of play action.
Really?
And it was something really low like that. And that's way too low. Get the play action involved, get the pre-snap movement involved, and that's just going to help everyone. I just don't understand why. I know we're back. I'm back in the Bears now, but
I know I've liked the play design that we've like rolled out this year, to be honest. But I will say that it's kind of like puzzling the game plan. Not as much specific on a play-to-play basis, but like, why do we not see more RPOs? Why do we, we have like Justin Fields as like a benefit in that run game where you have to defend it differently. There's only one other team or maybe two other teams in the league that you have to defend this way. So it keeps things fresh. And it's, I guess to be fair, it's not something that Justin ran at OSU. Like he was a pretty standard pocket passer there, but we know he could. And it's like, we heard the whole time that, Getsy was like this RPO specialist, even not run pass option, even just like running an option. Like where he just run that fake zone and allow for Justin to keep it. We don't see that enough.
Yeah, 100% agree. The RPO, the read option too was something I was just going to mention if you didn't get there. But there was a play in the Commanders game where we were on. It was I don't remember which one it was. It was one of the times we were in the red zone and we just did a straight handoff, no read option component to it. If there was a read option component, Justin Fields would have walked into the end zone. So I just don't know why they just don't have just the read option. If you want, I would love to see RPOs too, but the simple read option, you have a quarterback who can run the ball. It just makes so much sense in the world. And the only thing I could think, honestly, this is, complete speculation on my part, but the only thing I could think of is that the Bears offensive coaching staff is designing a scheme that fit not around Justin Fields, but they're just designing a scheme, letting everyone get in the scheme, and then they're going to draft a quarterback next year or something, or something like that, because they don't want to design something around Justin Fields, commit to that. Maybe at the end of the year, Justin Fields not the guy, and then draft someone else, and then you have to design a whole new scheme. So that's the only thing I can think of for why you wouldn't have an RPO-based offense or a read option offense. I don't know. Speculation on my part completely.
I know.
But that's
it is weird. It is weird, though. I would say that, hopefully the Bears coaching staff at least thinks to themselves that 2023 is Justin Fields as well. He's just too much of a blue chip like talent and has done everything that you want to see everywhere else to give up on him on a year. And it would seem to me pretty,
No, I agree. I agree 100%. But just something I thought. But and then the other thing is that if you let's say they do draft a quarterback in the first round next year, you're going to be in the same situation in 2023 than you are now. Pretty much, you're going to have a rookie quarterback with no one around him because you used your first round pick on a quarterback when you should have used it on an offensive lineman or a wide receiver. But I don't know. I'm not making the decisions now. So.
I'll tell already. Yeah. I tell you what. I think if we keep it a little bit more like small scope, this is a really interesting game for Justin Fields. I think the overwhelming feeling is that the Patriots are going to run us over. I think honestly, as Bears fans, the last couple of years, like the last 7 or 8 years, Belichick's always just had our number. Even when we were good teams, it seemed like he had a way to invalidate us. The funny thing is, the one time when it felt like or not the one time maybe, but the last time it really felt like we had a chance against a Belichick team is that game that Mitch Trubisky had that crazy touchdown run, and he actually had a lot of nice runs in that game, and it did maybe think that Justin Fields' ability to run being as good as it is, because, there are running quarterbacks every year, but him being as elite as it is might actually be able to provide an X factor that could help a defense break down some of those things that are put in place to stop them.
Yeah. He's a mismatch. Justin Fields is just a mismatch, and if you use him properly. So, you can have a great game. Bill Belichick could come out with a perfect game plan against Justin Fields, and Justin Fields could wreck it because he has that type of ability.
Those X factor plays,
Those X factor plays. So, but we'll see. Like you said, Bill Belichick does usually seem to have the Bears number, but maybe we just go there. What's your score prediction? What do you think? Do you think they're going to lose? Do you think they have a chance?
It's in Foxborough Monday night. The lights are on. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as bad as some of people leave it out to be. I really hope we don't see a regression from Justin Fields on live TV. That could really just start to spiral a bad start to like the second third of this season. But no, I think maybe something like Patriots. Our defense is better than people give it credit for. We're maybe not a huge play defense right now, but we're doing a really good job of bend don't break, and we're making plays when we need to. I saw a cool stat today that said PFF, there's only 4 teams that have 2 DBs in the top 20, or 2 cornerbacks in the top 20. Sorry, and that was the Bears, the Eagles, the Patriots, and there was another team too as well. But we also have Eddie Jackson is also top 10 in that stat as well. So a lot of talent on the backfield that can make a play, they can change the game. Maybe the Patriots score 24.
Yeah.
And if the Bears, I think it doesn't seem that the Bears would probably score 24 against that defense. But maybe 17-24. 24-17 Patriots seems like a fair score to me.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. And I think this game is going to go very similarly to how basically all the other games have gone. I think the Patriots are going to get out to an early lead, and then the Bears are going to kind of fight and claw their way back and then get real stout on defense and then keep it close towards the end. But I do think the Patriots are going to ultimately win. They're just the better team. And also, losing helps our draft stock, so I'm not too mad about that. But I could definitely see them, get it being like 14-3 at halftime and then finishing 21-17 or something like that, or 17-3 at halftime and then finishing 24-17, like you said. I could definitely see that.
From, Bill Belichick on the Bears this week.
I did see it. I didn't read the whole thing, but I saw kind of like the highlights that someone put a thread together. The one thing that was interesting that stuck in my mind and I was going to bring up was that the Bears are second half defense gives up like five points a game in the second half, something like that. Which kind of led me to that saying that I think the Patriots will get out to an early lead, but the Bears will tighten up and kind of keep it close. So I did think that was interesting. I did notice that the guys he was talking about, he didn't really mention Jaylon Johnson. I don't think he mentioned like Eddie Jackson. Maybe
I know.
He didn't mention someone else who was big. I can't remember. Yeah. But obviously you saw it too. What were your takeaways?
I didn't. It's funny. Sometimes I think that like Belichick does this tongue-in-cheek stuff. Where almost like he'll like overly praise people that he thinks he's going to go in and like have a really good matchup against and almost beat up on. And I've seen him do it before, and it's like I kind of felt like maybe that's what he was saying. But by the flip side, the stuff he said was true. Like we do have a team that like we have absolutely, other than maybe the Packers game, we have been in every game. We are like one of the youngest teams in the league, and it does seem that we never really lose the fire, which is something we saw all the time with Nagy. People, but like the second half I come around, and this team, it wasn't even like, it looked like an NCAA team. Like it was bad. And we haven't seen that so far. And there is like a whole lot of young talent, like we talked about, like, someone like Justin Fields can always make a play for you. But the defensive back that we went over, Kendall Vildor is playing great football.
He
and
really
I think
has,
Vildor is kind of in that, like, really high energy player, really good disciplined player that, we're starting to see a higher performance of this year. So I didn't think that everything he said was without merit, but it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know what Bill Belichick's up to, but I don't like how nice he's being.
Yeah, I did think the same thing. And I think you're right. He does kind of like you could ask him about like Pat Mahomes and he would say he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's it. But then you could ask him about, a bad quarterback and he'll go on for 10 minutes about how great he is.
Yeah.
So that does worry me a little bit. It does worry me that he has some sort of, card up his sleeve on how to stop us.
He's just playing the game.
He's just playing the game. So
he said all that so he could giggle to himself after he left.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I never take a lot of stock. In fact, I usually don't even watch them, like the post-game press conferences and what coaches say during the week, because you never really get any information. I think that's kind of what's happening.
No one more than Belichick. Belichick doesn't give you
no one more than Belichick. He doesn't give you anything. He would never give you. He would never say those things if he thought it would lead to a disadvantage for his team.
Yeah.
But it was interesting just to see how long he talked.
Yeah. But what do you think? What would you say? I mean, if there's things to look for this game, because like if both of us think maybe we won't win, what would we need to see for it to be a successful game?
Honestly, I don't really care what happens on the defensive side of the ball. I want to see Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker play well, but for the most part, I really don't care. I want to see the offense move the ball consistently. I want to see Justin Fields take care of the ball. I want to see him, go through his reads and not just scramble at the first sign of trouble. But yeah, there's a lot of things I want to see. And it all starts and really ends with Justin Fields. I do want to see how the offensive line looks and how they respond to moving around, because it's easy to say on the offensive line, oh, we're just going to move these guys around and that will fix everything. It's going to take still a long time for them to gel, even if you move them around. If you move Patrick to center, that's an adjustment for him, and that's an adjustment for the guys around him, because he's going to be making the calls and the checks and everything like that. So I just want to see Justin Fields do well. It's what I've said from this offseason. I don't care what happens. It's everything else that happens that's a positive is just icing on the cake. I just want to see Justin Fields go for 300 yards in a game one time, or at least 280 or something like that, and a couple touchdowns. And
I agree. I'd say this game is a win if we leave and it doesn't look like Bill Belichick made our quarterback look like a little rookie. If he looks like, he weathered the storm, even if we don't win, if he looked the part, if Justin Fields didn't look like he got taken advantage of in the game, that'd be a huge win for us. I'd like to see, I don't even really care how they perform. I would just like to see a change at the offensive line and some stability, like no switching out players. Set us a lineup and
keep Tevin Jenkins at right guard. Do not switch him out for whatever reason unless he gets injured. Just keep him there. He's your best offensive lineman. Just let it go.
Lucas Patrick, your hand, you can snap again, bro. That's why you're here.
Well, that's something I tweeted out the other day. If you don't have the grip strength to grip a football and snap it, you don't even have to throw it. You just have to snap it. How the hell do you have the grip strength to grab a 300-pound offensive lineman?
I know.
You just can't.
I don't. Yeah. Also, why are you switching out a guy with a Q-tip hand for Tevin Jenkins, who's playing the best ball on your team?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Stability there would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully the extra mini bye week helps Lucas Patrick's hand, and hopefully he's fully healthy. He can play center, and we can start kind of seeing a semblance of an offense from there. It might not be an immediate, turnaround on the offensive line, but they have to play better than the way they did last Thursday. They have to play better than they have in the first 6 weeks of the season, and then you build off that. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we have an idea of what the offensive line can do for us, and then we can see if Lucas Patrick is going to be the center next year, or maybe they need to cut bait on that contract and find someone else.
Do you want to go over some of the comments from Twitter?
Yep. So I asked if anyone had any questions. I got a couple questions here. First one comes from Brian Whittington. Follow me on Twitter at bwhittingtondpt. I had to cut this down a little bit because there's a long question. There's a character limit on these, but he essentially said, we're not going to get many wins this year. I want to see progress, specifically from our rookies. What are the 2-3 things you'll be watching to gauge progress? So if we're talking about our rookies, that's, at least the top 3 guys, or we'll do the top 4 guys, really. That's Brisker, Gordon, Velus Jones, and Braxton Jones. So if we start with the defensive backs, I thought Kyler Gordon played extremely well last week. Best game he's had. I want him to build off that. He needs to, and it's funny because when we played the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, their game plan was to find Kyler Gordon and attack him. Yeah. And if there's a coach who's going to do that exact same thing, it's Bill Belichick. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to attack him. He's got to expect that to be kind of coming maybe and can cover his guy. But so that's him. Jaquan Brisker, I thought. It's a little bit harder to, from the safety position, especially a box safety or a guy who plays at the line of scrimmage a lot. He's not maybe going to get a huge stat line every game, but he could still make an impact. And I think he was, in the Giants game in particular, caught out of position a lot on those rollouts.
100%.
So I want to see
better
him
in the second half, but it was stunning how out of position he looked a couple of times.
He did. So it's going to be hard to kind of gauge how well he's doing, because he might not get a lot of interceptions or sacks or something like that. But just want to see him kind of be in the position of be around the football a little bit more. We saw him in the preseason; he was around the football constantly. He hasn't really been around the football a lot since the season started. So I want to see him just around the football. Maybe you're not getting interceptions, but you're making plays on the ball or just around the football in general, making tackles towards the line of scrimmage, stuff like that. We'll start with the defensive backs. What about you? How are you gauging success for Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker?
Yeah, I'd like to see a turnover from one of them, to be honest. We're likely getting Bailey Zappi, who isn't a world destroyer. So I think that there's an opportunity for us to maybe throw some stuff that isn't exactly him familiar with, or that can put him in a good position that we can make a play on the ball. But they're both really playmaking was kind of their thing. Neither of them were like, drafted because they were this steady Eddie player, even though both, for the most part, are people you want to be able to rely on. Brisker and Gordon were, like Gordon has been all around the ball. I haven't seen one player, nobody has been closer to the ball all season than Six. So
it hasn't been always for good reasons, but he has been around the ball.
I would say that ever since Jaylon Jones got bumped back up to the bench because Jaylon Johnson came back, I'd say like he's looked better when he's been able to just settle down in the slot. So I'd like to see one of them make a play on the ball, maybe get us a ball. I know Brisker had a forced fumble in week 1, but if one of them had a pick, that would be awesome.
Yeah. If we do get Bailey Zappi, it's interesting. Is that confirmed? I actually haven't really done a lot of research if it's going to be Zappi or Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones like officially out? I have no idea.
See if we can get any early word.
Oh yeah, you look that up. I'll finish outside. If we do get Bailey Zappi, he's very much a game manager, and he's not going to be a guy who throws the ball deep. He's going to be throwing the ball short and over the middle of the field. And so if Kyle Gordon's playing the nickel position and you have Jaquan Brisker close to a line of scrimmage, maybe matching up about tight ends, if they're going to get a pick, it's going to be this game because he's going to want to attack the middle of the field, and that's where Gordon and Brisker are going to be playing. So this is the game to do it if we do want to see some progress from those two guys, and if we do want to see a turnover. You find anything?
I tell you what, I actually didn't really realize what the situation was like in New England. It's like kind of brewing into a bit of a QB like controversy.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be, but I think. But yeah, I did see that people are not happy with Mac Jones. Something was going on.
Yeah, apparently they've kind of like, I mean, I don't know if they've fully soured, but it's saying that some of the relationships have gone a little bit sideways. I guess they asked Mac Jones to get surgery and he wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's also partially kind of like the backup quarterback syndrome. The most popular guy in the team is always the backup quarterback if the starting quarterback's not playing well. We've seen with the Bears fans. Fans with like Matt Barkley and
nobody likes backup
Haney.
Quarterback more than the Patriots. Patriots, no.
Yeah, because the next backup quarterback's the next Tom Brady. Is assuming how they think.
Tom Brady gets hurt and Matt Castle wins them like 11 games.
Right. So, but so that's Kyler Gordon. That's Jaquan Brisker. Bailey Jones. Progress with him is just getting on the field.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about it.
We talked about that. Just getting on the field. And we kind of talked about Braxton Jones as well. We expected some road bumps with Braxton Jones, and there will still be things with Braxton Jones. Just get better, get more consistent. He's going to get beat. Just because a guy gets beat does not mean he's a bad offensive lineman, but just get beat less and less, win a few more reps every week. And I think that's what the question was perfect. It's hard to judge. Everyone just looks at wins, losses as they should, for success, but you can be successful without wins and losses.
I'd say a good sign for Braxton Jones if he's just still out there. It's not that he has 100% played bad enough to be benched, but if you're looking to, improve and make sure you have the best 5 offensive linemen out there every week, there's, an opportunity that maybe someone else could try a couple snaps at that role. So if they roll out and it's still him, the Bears are at least kind of committing to, hey, like this is our guy, like this is his season almost, which would be good progress for him in some respects.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next question. So this comes from @ShySports94. How does Field survive against a team that's top 10 in the NFL in sacks against a coach who's generally the best at game planning against specific players? That's a very good question. I do anticipate them blitzing a good amount. We know Justin Fields has struggled at times when pressured and struggles against the blitz as well. The way to protect him is play action would be helpful. Screen games, if they're blitzing a lot, would be helpful. And the other thing is give Justin Fields more quick passes. Our offense has been, I know, and I get it because Justin Fields' strength is throwing the ball downfield. So I get that. But you have to have some slants, some drags.
Yeah, you do. Even those little spit routes where it's like, Mooney just takes one step back and takes like that little side route, just basically spitting it out for him. It's basically a run play. But that's a great way to just kind of get him slinging the ball with some momentum early. He actually, over the last couple of weeks, I thought has looked all right against the blitz. I thought he did a good job against the Vikings. And
he has gotten better, to be fair.
The Commanders of like finding his hot read and being able to throw at the blitz as far as like trying to get away from like as opposed to getting away from the blitz. But another thing too we talked about was just he has that X factor where you can play perfect defense and he'll still break you down by being able to escape. And being that he's so good at throwing that downfield ball, he escapes. And even though he has been running, he's still looking to make a play downfield. It would really only take 1 or 2 huge plays in a game for us to be in contention this whole game.
Yeah, 100% agree. And another thing they could do is another way to kind of mitigate that pass rush is RPOs and read options.
Yes.
Get them thinking that he might take off and run.
Don't let that DN crash every time.
Don't let those DNs just pin back their ears and rush the passer. Yep. Keep them guessing and don't get predictable. Don't get predictable on downs too. Don't always throw the ball. Don't always run the ball on first down and then throw the ball on third down.
Yeah,
you got.
I would also say that we probably should talk about it. It seems like there have been some rumblings that maybe our starting running back has changed.
Well, didn't Eberflus say they're going to just ride the hot hand?
Right, but you don't say that if you're going with your regular starter kind of thing. When it was brought up, he was like, at that position, we're going to just try and ride the hot hand. And it'll be interesting to see, drive one against the Patriots, who's out there. Because I think Montgomery lets him run a more full offense. But, like people have been saying, Khalil Herbert is averaging 2.5 yards more a carry.
Yeah, I think the other thing about that is Montgomery is probably a better pass catcher, and he's definitely a better pass blocker. Yeah. So I would think
Herbert cannot be in on third down right now.
No. Well, I was just going to say that. Maybe you see more Herbert first, second down, Montgomery more almost as a third down back.
Adjust your fantasy lineups accordingly.
I mean, I as a David Montgomery fantasy owner, I'm very pissed.
I'm a Herbert fan.
It is what it is. I mean, I don't know why. I drafted Montgomery, and I was like, I stayed away from Herbert. I knew Herbert was going to get carried, so I don't know why. But anyway, that's a different conversation. Story. It'll be interesting to see how. I still think Montgomery comes out as a starter. But I do think it's going to be 50-50 pretty much in touches.
If Montgomery gets benched, man, that would be such a rough look just because Montgomery has been such a pure good Bear. Loves the Bears, never complained, one of the toughest guys in the league. I mean, you got to ride the hot hand. He's right, but it's just like I just got so much love for David Montgomery.
Yeah. Yeah, I look like David Montgomery too, but I do think this is a good thing overall because we've seen, I want a regime that doesn't overvalue running backs. If that makes sense, because they're replaceable. And I think this is kind of if you're hoping that the Bears signed Dave Montgomery to a contract, this should not be a good day for you because that kind of is a sign that they're probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
But and as much as I love Dave Montgomery and I like Justin Herbert too, if you take out the players, the individual players, and take out emotions from the equation, it's a good thing that this regime doesn't overvalue individual running backs and would rather go with a running back by committee approach. It shows that they have a good understanding.
Best teams in the world do.
Yes, it shows they have a good understanding of how to build a roster and where to spend your money. So I understand that it can get emotional because you get favorite players. It happens to me all the time. But it's a good thing overall.
Yep.
One last question. This comes from Antonio Belial. You follow him on Twitter at Antonio Belial. This is good segue here. Is there, and this is a question that I don't have a good answer for. Is there a particular scheme reason why we don't see Herbert and David Montgomery in some two back sets on offense? I don't know why you wouldn't want to get both those guys on the field at the same time.
Yep. I would say that
we've seen Tristan Ebner on the field with both those guys. So they do have packages with two running backs in the game, but I don't think we've seen Herbert and Montgomery on the field at the same time.
Maybe it's like one of those things where it's like, one's good enough where you'd like to have one in the field and then have another not in the field so that, if one ever gets tired enough, you can make sure you have like a back you really depend on being out there as opposed to maybe having to lean on Ebner more. Because so far, unfortunately, Ebner hasn't looked great in his snaps, like where he's the solo back. But by the same merit, man, like sometimes with like the Ravens, for example, they'll put three backs back there in the pistol and like have all kinds of misdirections. I don't see any reason why we can't do something like that with Justin Fields.
Yep, I would love to see Herbert and Dave Montgomery on the field this time with Justin Fields back there. It's almost like a kind of like a wildcat with Justin Fields getting the ball because you don't know who's getting the ball, you don't know who's going to be the lead blocker. I would love to see more of that, but I do get the point of trying to keep you take a guy Dave Montgomery off the field because you want to get him some rest and keep him fresh and keep their guys' legs fresh. So I get why they don't do it a lot, but you could do it 2 or 3 times a game, and I think that'd be fine. Another interesting thing with Ebner, he hasn't looked very impressive, but they really haven't used them the way I thought I was hoping that they would use him which is really as a third down receiving back. They've been using him on like first down, and it's like that wasn't his strength in Baylor. But that's again a different conversation. But I would like to see them. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think they need to use him a little bit differently.
He's a rookie.
He'd be another guy that easier to do. I'd be another guy I'd like to see maybe get a chance at punt returning. He's done kickoff returning, but maybe get him a punt return or two.
I'm kind of at the point now where it's like if you're going to use a 3rd-round pick on Bayless, I need to see him touch the ball more.
Yeah.
So it's it's hard for me to say put anyone else at the punt return, even though he has been like horrible.
Yeah, that's just objectively bad.
Yeah, like you wish you could say better, but it's been bad. Like I was actually sitting on my couch at the Commanders game when it hit him in the face and just laughing to myself. Like, of course it just hit this guy in the face and recovering.
Yeah. I mean, there's some points in Bears games in my entire career of watching the Bears where you just have to laugh. Otherwise, you're gonna cry.
So if you can't laugh this season, it's gonna be a long season.
It's gonna be a long ass season. So laugh when you can, and hope for the best. Other couple things I noticed. I just looked up some stats before we wrap it up here. It's just interesting stats. So the Patriots are very good They're very good at running the ball. They average
Ramondre Stevenson is hot.
I have it up. Ramondre Stevenson. So they average 4.7 yards a carry. Ramondre Stevenson, 5.1 yards a carry. But interesting stat I saw about him. He's rushed the ball 87 times this year, and 60 of them have been to the right side. Only 27 to the left side.
Really?
He averages 6.3 yards per carry to the right, only 2.4 yards per carry to the left. I don't know what that means, but that's a huge discrepancy.
Wow.
And it just was a very interesting stat that I saw.
Discrepancy in the frequency and in the production is crazy. Like,
right.
Is that a function of him or of the line?
See, I don't know, because Damian Harris, I saw that. I was like, okay, I look up Damian Harris now. He has 32 rushes to the right, 25 to the left. So it's much more even.
What's the split in production?
And then the production for Damian Harris is 4.3 yards to the right, 4.7 yards to the left. So it was just a very weird stat that I needed to bring up.
Ramondre Stevenson blind in one eye?
Like, as I was saying, maybe he's I feel more comfortable starting and going to the right, and
that's got to be
back.
something.
I don't know.
If Luke and Steve know about that stat, then the Bears have to know about that.
The Bears have to know about that. So exactly. So that was just a really interesting thing. Interestingly, if they are going to be running to the right, Robert Quinn usually plays on the right side of the defense, so over the left tackle. Yeah, over the left tackle.
So I always better because they'll be running into Muhammad or Robinson, who's actually played really stout this year on setting the edge.
Yeah.
So that's probably lends to our advantage. It also probably lends to, it depends where Jaylon Johnson ends up. But if Kyler Gordon's in the slot, running to Kyler Gordon's side has been good for us this year. He's a slasher when it comes to the run.
Yeah, he's a really good at run support. He's been, even when he was struggling, he was still good at run support.
Yeah.
So I really actually like him in the nickel a lot more so than the outside. I know he's going to struggle. It's honestly a more difficult position to play, especially in coverage.
Oh yeah,
but I really like him there
because you can't force anyone into the boundary and use that basically as another defender.
Exactly.
It's required. Yeah, that might be the toughest position on a defense. It's really, you get left on an island, and you get left on an island against someone like Tyreek Hill, and the next play it's Travis Kelce, or the next play it's Darren Waller or Devontae Adams. You get the best of the best in the slot these days. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely difficult. The other thing I saw, this was Mac Jones. So I don't know if Mac Jones is going to be playing or not, but assuming he is, this isn't a groundbreaking stat by any means. But when Mac Jones is kept clean, he completes 72% of his passes, 8.9 yards per attempt, and has 6 big-time throws. When he's under pressure, 39% completion percentage, 4.6 yards per attempt, 0 big-time throws, 4 turnover-worthy plays. You have to get Mac Jones under pressure. Again, not groundbreaking stuff. You want to do that with any quarterback, but I think that's even more important in this game if Mac Jones is the guy to kind of get him under pressure and make sure and force him into making mistakes, because that's when he does.
That'll be an interesting thing to watch in that game, because there have been games this year where Alan Williams has dialed up a really blitz heavy scheme for the game. We did so against the Vikings. We also did so against the Commanders. But on the flip side, there have been games where we haven't. I know we didn't blitz a single time against the 49ers, and I know we didn't blitz a whole lot against Aaron Rodgers either, just because I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to blitz quarterbacks that are that experienced. But we've seen that Alan Williams is willing to go really one side or really the other. So he's probably going to be dialing up this week how he thinks he can get pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. If it's a game where we're just going to rely on, Dominique Robinson and Robert Quinn and who's the second-year player? For some reason, his name always escapes me.
Travis Gibson.
Travis Gibson. If they're going to rely more on them, or if they're going to do what they did the last game and kind of rely on, Brisker and like Roquan and Kyler Gordon to get in there.
Yeah. I mean they're going to have to blitz because we just can't get home with 4. Robert Quinn still hasn't played well, but he's still a decent pass rusher on obvious passing downs. Dominic Robinson really hasn't done much since that first week where he had that 3 sacks or 2 sacks, whatever it was. Gibson has been, I think, one of the more disappointing players. I don't know if that's because of his usage or.
I would say it is his usage. I've actually thought that on the field he's flashed.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking from more of a production standpoint. Yeah. But they need to get him more involved on third down because like I said, they're going to be blitzing, but they just need to get more from their front 4. You're not going to get a lot of pass rush from your D tackles. We don't have. I mean, Justin Jones is our best pass rushing D tackle, and I would not. And he's probably a better run defender than pass rusher. So you have to.
Yeah.
He's been okay. I liked what I've seen from him. I think that was a fine signing, but he is what he is. He's not going to be a dominant pass rusher. So you need to get it off the edge. So
it would be nice if this would be a game where we could, especially now that there have been, the rumors that he is on the block. It would be nice to get a big game out of Robert Quinn. His classic little Gumby edge bend and maybe a strip back to change the game a little bit for us.
That would be nice. Maybe force someone's hand to. I mean, I don't think we're getting anything more than a late round pick for him, but I'll take anything at this point.
You know what? It'll give more edge reps to someone like a Dominic Robinson or a Travis Gibson. Yeah. And if we recoup a 5th round pick, we got our starting left tackle, however good you think him to be in the 5th round. So that's not nothing. Right.
Yeah, and you can use that to trade for another player or trade up in the draft. Just acquire draft picks. We'll probably talk more about the trade down line next week. Because we still got a week away. But, I think we should make a point to probably talk about that next week.
Yeah, just be the ones that, will be – I think the Bears will obviously be sellers more than they are buyers. But it'd be interesting to see the people that they actually think that they'll be willing to sell to. Because at the end of the day, it seems like this year, much like when they took over the team at the beginning of the offseason, a lot of those people on the team probably aren't part of the future. That's why kind of you sign those short prove-it deals like you did for Pringle or ESB or even Dante Pettis. But it'll be interesting to see, the ones that kind of do stick around or the ones that maybe are worth parting with now at the deadline. Yeah,
100% agree. All right, I think we covered everything. Do you have anything else to add at the end here?
No, I think Bears fans probably this year need to realize that maybe we're not going to win the Super Bowl, but these games can still be fun. These are opportunities for the players that maybe will be part of the solution, not part of the problem next year to show their faces. So just keep your eyes out.
Yeah, and I think that's these games can still be fun, especially for me. I get really down when the Bears lose and they look like shit. And I know most Bears fans do, but we could still have fun even if the Bears are losing, and that's what we got to focus on this year. But yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good way to end it. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, retweet on Twitter. We really appreciate everyone's support. This podcast brought to you by BetUS. They're doing a 125% bonus. Deposit $100, get an extra $125. Deposit $200, get an extra $250. So if you are a gambler like me, make sure you use BetUS. But this is, I'll say when I will post my gambling tips before each week. Just do the opposite, and you'll win so much fucking money. Like I swear to God, just hedge all my bets, and you'll win money, and you get $125 extra. So make sure to use that link. I'll put it in the comments. All right, and then we'll be live on the post game show on Monday night, and then we'll also probably have a preview next week as well. So thanks everyone for watching, and bear down.
Bear down.